This weekend, Ryan's pinging pong in the dark, Andy's building a factory, and we have a blast on the N64. I'm Ryan. And this is Weekend Rental, episode 173. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode. I don't know about this episode. I think you and I were both on the struggle bus for finding topics that fit this podcast, because it's like we have lives and can't get to as much games anymore. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah. Well, spring is here. So, there's been a lot of outdoor stuff happening around here.
Yeah, spring has sprung. 67 degrees here yesterday. I looked, and that was the highest recorded temperature on this date in Fargo.
Wow.
Ever. By 4 degrees?
Yeah.
The coldest date, or the coldest temp for the same day was negative 28. Like, think about that range. 100 degree
swing.
Yeah, it's like 100 degree difference. It's nuts. It's wild.
Huh.
So you guys been taking advantage of that and going out and doing some running around?
A little bit. And more so just hanging out outside and, cleaning up around the house and that type of stuff.
Oh, I got a story for you. So my kids are on their spring break. Like, it's not every year, but like every other year. I don't know if it's like a parent-teachers thing. Fargo Public Schools do like a week off in the spring. So my kids are home. So my wife had them rake the front yard. And we've kind of given up on bagging leaves, because that sucks. So we always just do the whole tarp method where you rake it all into a big tarp, and we just kind of fold it up and throw it in the back of my SUV. Which, that all went according to plan, but I didn't take into account the fact that the city of Fargo hasn't put out their receptacles for collecting leaves and grass clippings, because why would they? It's only March.
Yeah.
So now I've spent the last 2 nights driving between Fargo and Moorhead trying to find a recycling center that will take my grass clippings, and coming up empty. So it looks like for at least the next few days, I'm going to have a SUV with nothing but leaves in it. It smells like ass in my car because it's getting so warm in there. But I can't have any passengers in the back seat. So I think my plan is either I go to the dump on Saturday, or I wait till it gets dark and I drive out in the country on Saturday, and somebody's ditch is getting a whole bunch of leaves. So.
I mean, your car could just be a composter at this point, right?
I mean, yeah, that's true. I guess, you got to start peeing on it to activate it, right? So maybe I should just get back there and really let her. Yeah, it wasn't a problem I didn't anticipate having. We were just like, oh, this is so great to have the spring cleanup done before it would actually be spring, and then I've now screwed myself. So,
right.
Fun.
Yeah, I think we're because it's been so warm. We feel it does feel like it should be spring right now, but it's
very much
early
winter
still. Yeah.
Yeah, and then love it, hate it, the whole time change too. So now it's nice, because you've got, the time change has been killing me. Like, I haven't adjusted at all, but it is nice that it's light until almost 8 p.m. at night now. So
yep.
There's that.
Yeah. I actually get to spend some time outside after work. Yeah.
Right. Instead of driving home in the dark and driving to work in the dark. Yeah, it's wild. I never thought I'd see the day where we didn't get a winter in our area. It just seemed impossible.
Seems like it's going to happen.
All those glorious greenhouse gases.
Yep.
Biden needs to just stop with the economic and, pollution reform. Like, let's just keep fossil fuel America rolling. It's going to be warmer and warmer every winter. Won't even need a jacket pretty soon.
Yeah, but then everybody's going to move here, right?
Well, that's true. Yeah. Well, I did see a video about how Duluth is apparently like the Duluth, Minnesota's the choice destination for like limited effects of global warming. So it's just time to buy a house and move, I guess.
Yeah. Other than the interest rate, but
well, yeah, there's that, and the looming fall of our democracy too. Because I don't know how property rights go if your country dissolves. Like, do I still own my house? How does that work?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean,
because we don't really
I guess manifest
own
destiny is the right of each individual too, right? I don't know.
So you're saying I should start staking out neighboring properties now?
Find the weaker ones first.
Oh, I've got a couple in mind. Yeah, that old couple behind me. Take him down.
Yeah,
gonna be great. Can't wait for the upgrade. So I want to talk about this one right off the bat, just because I didn't even know this really came out, and then I watched it. But have you seen that Spaceman movie?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Adam Sandler put out? Okay. So obviously it went to Netflix, but he put out a dramatic movie called Spaceman, where Adam Sandler is just basically like a depressed, like dickhead spaceman on a solo mission to, is it Jupiter he's going? Anyway, I think it's Jupiter. And he just talks to a giant space spider for the whole movie, and the space spider just like basically views his memories to like piece together that he's a closed off dickhead, and that's why his wife's leaving him. And it's fucking 2.5 hours long, and it was awful. The whole thing was awful.
Is this like him trying to say something about himself, or?
I don't know.
Oh, weird.
It's just so weird. Like, he does pretty good in dramatic roles, but when you pair a dramatic role with like a creepy looking spider thing, and obviously I think the whole premise is that the spider's not even real. It's just like him kind of losing it in space and having an internal dialogue. But
man,
I gotta say, I had no idea that what I was walking into with that, and I kind of wish I hadn't. I cannot recommend that film.
Huh. Considering I have never heard of it either, I feel like it's probably not really lighting it up either.
No, I think I saw an article scrolling through Google today on my phone that just said like 10 Netflix movies that are like Spaceman but do it better. It's like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah. Was Moon one of them?
I didn't click on it to look, but
okay.
I can imagine he's going to get a Razzie or two. I mean, he's pretty good at getting nominated for them lately, but this one seems like it will land him there.
Not for his dramatic stuff, though, usually.
Well, that's true, but this one might get him there. Yeah. This one could cross the line. The only part he kind of nailed is like, he looks like an old, like, he came to the point where he looks like an older, like, beaten down man who's just like, I think he's 50s, so, but that's kind of the thing in the movies. He's just supposed to look like a depressed loner, like not taking care of himself. And it's like, well, that's pretty much Adam Sandler. Except he's probably not depressed in real life, but he definitely doesn't take care of himself.
Mm-hmm.
Guy walks around in basketball shorts all the time. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, steer clear of that one, or don't. But let me tell you, you'll wish you had if you do dive in.
Yeah, he doesn't put out too many like that.
No. Yeah, it's mostly either the absurd comedies or he's done quite a few love interest, like romantic comedies lately, so weird. Because he gets so much money, it's ridiculous. That Netflix deal he made was gold.
Yeah. The fact that he basically made whatever he wanted out of those two. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's weird too, because I feel like of the of the Netflix exclusive stuff, I can really only think of like one or two movies that I actually liked. And I wouldn't say they're good. Like, but Hubie
Or how do you?
Halloween, I liked that. It's not a good movie, but I laughed.
It's hard to even remember them, though. You know what I mean? It's just like
Right.
they're disposable.
They are. Well, and Netflix is
That's
so
a
good at
Netflix
cannibalizing
problem.
itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something hits Netflix. If you don't notice it on the day or the week it dropped, once it falls out of the top 10,
Mhm.
they're so bad at self promotion. It's unbelievable. Even like the recommended for you stuff now feels like it's way off compared to where it used to be. And maybe part of that's because I have 4 people in the house watching all sorts of shit. So,
Yeah.
but I hardly ever turn on Netflix. Pretty much my daughter and my wife.
I now have my parents on the
I don't know.
same internet network, so the recommendations are going a little bit wild on that too, because it's over there. It's just 24/7, like westerns from the '60s. So they really don't know what's going on over here.
It's awesome. My father-in-law just discovered that their smart TV had the YouTube app. So he just exclusively uses it to watch old black and white westerns, pretty much. He was amazed that there was anything else on it. Great. Yeah, you're gonna
Yeah,
have to. Do you get a lot of like questions then with them using the internet? Like, should we be clicking on this and that sort of stuff? Are they pretty okay with that stuff?
they don't. Yeah, they don't really do too much on the computer. My dad is pretty much computer illiterate.
Sure.
My mom does the basic stuff. But yeah, on TV they have they're on the same Roku package and everything, so they're
Oh, sure. Roku's great. I wonder what. I always wonder what will eventually take over that ecosystem because they can't be as all encompassing as they are forever. And I feel like Amazon Fire is kind of there, but not nearly. You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, it's hard to monetize something like that. I would think. Like I don't know what you do to
Yeah.
really make it a.
Well, they're making all their money by selling their data to China, so
Yeah,
which that's fine. But I can still get a TV for $150. I'm good. Let them infiltrate my home.
China doesn't want to see what I'm watching.
No. So I saw you put another movie on the list that got announced on that March 10 day. I feel like there's some kind of
Yeah, there's
weird
some.
holiday that we celebrate now.
Yeah,
Is it
for some reason, everybody was talking about Mario
Yeah,
that
it's
day.
weird. I don't get it.
Even Miyamoto like came out of his shadow and announced a new movie.
Miyamoto, the film producer now.
Yeah, that's pretty much
Does
what
he
he
work
does.
on
No, right?
does he work on games anymore?
I love it. The every tweet, it's just like, "Hey, this is Miyamoto."
It's your official it's got the blue check mark. We know. Yeah. Yeah, so they announced the obvious, of course, movie sequel to Super Mario movie. I think what they say comes out 2026. So we're a ways out. They must be just in script writing phase.
That's what I'm surprised about. Like I would have figured the day that they saw the opening day box office on that, they're like, "Boys, get to work now."
I really kind of expected a Christmas holiday season of 2025 because I'm with you. I would have thought they would have just had it moving. Well, and a lot of the hard work's done, right? Like all your character modeling and stuff is done. And you're going to change some of the sets, but your world building, you've essentially done that.
Well, he didn't explicitly say sequel. He said a film expanding on the universe.
Did he? Is that how he phrased it?
Yeah. So.
What does that mean?
Exactly.
Will it have less Chris Pratt?
Probably not. More. The only thing that would make sense is like a Donkey Kong thing, because that would be like adjacent to it.
And they are really ramping up that part in the park, so I guess that would make sense. I guess like it's cool. I just didn't get that excited because I don't really think the first movie was that good. I think it's adequate. I'm glad my kids got a good Mario movie, but I don't particularly enjoy watching it. So
Yeah. I
it
mean,
is what it is.
I it's good for what it is, and I think they should keep making them. And I just assumed they would. Like after I saw
Right.
how well it did, it's like, well,
Yeah,
an announcement
it was
of
gonna
it is not
happen.
really a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I did like how like that was really their only big celebration of Mario Day, because even like the 3 Mario Game Boy and Game Boy Color games that they're bringing to Nintendo Switch Online, they chose to drop on the 12th. Why not just do them on Mario Day? Was it that difficult to pull off? Like, you're announcing it, just say available today, surprise.
Yeah, I wonder that is pretty weird that they're just. You would think that the whole system would just be like, I'm dragging a file into a folder and
Yes.
now it's available.
Correct.
But it's not. It must not be that easy. I don't know.
And they're the most minuscule files. Like, these are not big games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is. We will have to do that Mario Golf, I think, at some point, because it's one of the story elements and stuff that I've heard so much good stuff about.
Yeah. Which I think, I'm kind of disappointed in that, because it's like Dr. Mario Game Boy is like fine, but it's just Dr. Mario. Like
I know, yeah, it's the same game. I know. I never got excited about it as a kid when I got the port either. I'm like, why would I buy that? Because I could just get it for Nintendo.
Yeah, and then to have the 2 other ones being just 2 sports ones, it's like, well,
yeah,
these aren't really inspired choices, but I guess.
Yeah, I agree. It was a little disappointing.
Maybe
But
they're all on there. I don't know.
It's something. I wanted to touch on some news that I'm pretty irritated about. I don't know if you've been following like the Warner Brothers stuff. So they were coming out like last week and saying like, hey, we're only doing games as a service, even though like the game as a service that we just put out is doing abysmal. And then on top of that, they're like, hey, we own Adult Swim Publishing, like all those games, because we acquired the publishing rights. So now they're just delisting them on every platform. And it sounds like the developers who have gotten notices from them have asked them to just transfer titles through Steam, which I guess is a very easy process, like 3 clicks. And it sounds like the answers that these studios have been getting back is, well, we can't do it for everyone, so we won't do it for anyone. And now these games are just going to be gone outside of like itch.io for some of them, but some of them just won't be listed. And one of my favorite games, especially around this house, is Duck Game. So thank God I bought a clearance physical copy of that for PS4, because I don't want that game to disappear forever. It's a blast.
Mm-hmm.
It just makes no sense.
They were putting out a good decent amount of games.
Yeah.
And to just, they've been doing this shit with movies a lot too, right? Delisting a lot of movies and then making movies and not even putting them out. There's a Wile E. Coyote movie that was supposed to come out, and they just didn't do it. There's a Batwoman one that they just aren't putting out.
Yeah.
At least in that case, I can understand that they could just write them off right away. But I don't get what the incentive is to just stop providing these games that are already made. I don't know.
And it would be different if a lot of them were using licensed characters, but the majority of them are not. They're original IPs, so I don't understand how it hurts you in any way to just have them available on a platform to make like residual earnings on. Like, who cares? That can't possibly hurt anything.
Right. And the expense of it can't be any sort of huge cost savings. So or even a tax write-off or anything. I don't understand.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a huge bummer. And a lot of those Adult Swim games, I mean, outside of Duck Game, the ones that I've played anyway, I've enjoyed the majority of them. So it just sucks anytime you see someone's work have to disappear for just stupid reasons. It's not like Warner Brothers invested, hundreds of hours into developing. It's just kind of shitty to do that to the artists and the
Yep.
creators that worked on it. Makes me sad.
Well, developers need to be taken down a peg. They've been having it too good lately.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's been a better time to be a game dev. I mean, to be honest, this is peak. I I just like it. I get it. Like we're right sizing post pandemic, but oof, it's brittle.
It's rough when you see the companies actually making good profits still,
Right. I did read something interestingly about how Sea of Thieves is already like the most pre-ordered game on the Switch like in the past few weeks.
Wow.
So, like, interesting that that's ticking the needle that much because it's a real old game. Oh no, it wasn't on the Switch. It was the PlayStation. Yeah, because it's not coming to Switch. But yeah, it was the
Okay.
PlayStation. It was actually like in the top like 2. It knocked
Really?
they said it knocked what was it, Elder Scrolls or Elden Ring DLC out of the top spot, I think. So
Wow.
that's wild to me because I guess I didn't see the PlayStation audience clamoring for that. Like, and that's the one I was surprised that wasn't coming to Switch because that one's not, right? It's just grounded and maybe it is. I don't know. I forget.
I don't remember seeing that one in the Switch
On the Switch,
video.
yeah.
I don't know if that
So,
means
yeah.
that it's not coming, but
Right. I would have thought that game would have had a better home on the Switch just because of how kind of family friendly and Disney tied in it is. But the fact that PlayStation owners are just gobbling it up is wild.
which is only going to
And
reinforce Xbox to be like, okay, everything's going
yes,
over there.
that's just what I was going to say. It's like they're going to realize that they made the right decision and continue down that path,
Yeah.
which you can't blame them. I mean,
No.
it's not like they have a lot of consoles. Well, they do, but the situation
And
they're in.
companies only do things in the short term. They don't really have any long-term goals anymore. So,
Just like people.
yep.
5 seconds at a
That's
time.
good.
TikTok.
You can only afford 5 seconds ahead of yourself.
Yeah, I wonder what the industry will look like into next gen. It's gonna be crazy.
I did watch a movie I can talk about.
Oh,
I don't know why I decided to watch this, but it was a movie called Save Yourselves. I don't remember what was on. It was Netflix or Max or something like that. But it was probably a kind of a low budget sci-fi movie where the premise really intrigued me because it's a alien invasion movie where aliens just invade and start killing people, and they're actually just these little fuzzballs.
cute fuzzballs.
Yep, pretty cute fuzzballs. Nice. For half the movie, they just think they're ottomans in the house. But the premise of this one is these two characters from like New York or something, the most kind of hipster couple out there, city person. They're just so tied to their phones and technology and everything that they're just gonna be like, okay, we need a week to go off the grid, right? Reset ourselves, and because they watched it on TikTok, how it changes your life by going out of the city for a week, without technology. So that's what they did, and then of course, the aliens show up exactly the moment they're off the grid. So it's kind of the whole movie is kind of about that, where it's.
So they come back from the trip and then all hell's broken loose, or does it start happening to them while they're off the grid?
It starts happening to them while they're there. One person breaks down and can't be away from their phone and ends up listening to a bunch of voicemails, and
interesting.
and they're like at their friend's cabin or something. But it's a comedy, but nothing that was tremendously laugh out loud funny. But I think the premise of it keeps you going enough where it's like, okay, the everything that's happening them around them is usually like a genre of a different type of movie, but because these people are in this situation, it feels a little bit different, you know?
Sure.
Kind of like a Tucker and Dale versus Evil type thing where it's,
Sure.
you know, the rest of the movie around it is one of those cliche movies, but they're, because of the situation that they're in, it just seems like it's something different, right?
Sounds like an interesting premise. It doesn't sound that far off from that movie that was just big on Netflix either, where everybody, like, well, that was like a Chinese invasion or something, but kind of the same thing where at least there's no technology, so nobody really knows what's going on.
Oh, yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, not aliens or anything, but
it's not bad. I don't know if I'd recommend it. It's, you know, it's one of those lower budget, like, probably haven't seen these people before. I don't know who these actors are. I don't know. But I did laugh because, you know, at one point they're like, oh, there's a gun. We can use a gun that's in the basement. And they're both like, ew, guns. We can't use guns.
aliens, you gotta use guns. Come on.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'll have to keep an eye out for that one. Sounds like something stupid enough that I'd like it. Yeah, I saw something today that I wanted to bring up because I knew you'd love it because you're just such a Waluigi fan.
Mm-hmm.
I got my new copy of Nintendo Force, and apparently it was discovered that at one point there was official concept art for a Wah-Peach, and that has leaked out to the internet, and now there are people
Really?
with, you know, all sorts of Wah-Peach art and mock-ups, and she just looks like a really angry, derpy Peach with like a weird hat thing, like helmet hat. I don't know. I don't think it
Purple
would have been a
dress or
great
what?
character. Yeah, purple, like, I don't even know if it's like a dress, if it was like more of like a, I don't know, superhero type suit it looked like, kind of.
Yeah.
She's got like, yeah, big like bucket head hat thing, and I don't know. I'm glad this never came to be because Waluigi's already an abomination, and Wah-Peach would have just been too much. I mean, the whole concept of the Wario was just that you flipped the letter, but when you start putting Wah in front of stuff, just, I don't like it. I don't like it one bit.
I think a really good prank would be to have a voice actor come into the booth and say, okay, you're playing Wah Toad. Now do the voice. You'd be like, what? Can't even imagine what that would be like, but
I think the downside in this day and age is, you know, the beginning part of that name is WAP, which seems problematic given the current state of culture. So I don't think Wah-Peach is probably what Nintendo wants out there.
especially when the peach is the other end.
Yeah, yes, it's a little too on the nose. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not great. There's probably going to be a lot of, you know, gross sexual stuff on the internet for that too, as there always is. Could get Bowsette levels of crazy.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's none out there right now. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't happen. Yeah, yeah. I didn't read the article to see what the concept art came from. I'd almost have to assume it had to have been like a Mario Party, because that's kind of the catalyst for Waluigi, right? Like he came out. Is it a sports game or the Mario Party
tennis.
games? Okay,
It's
so
a
yeah, I
tennis
suppose
game,
she would have been somewhere around there then too. Yeah. Sometimes the decisions Nintendo makes, characters, not a fan. Not a fan. What did you do with Yu-Gi-Oh?
So my kid's teacher has some reward system that he gives like fake dollars, right? And one of the rewards was Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I don't know where this teacher got it from.
Like
I don't know if
packs
it's
or
like
just like individual cards?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay.
I would assume my assumption is it was like his old ones or something. Who knows? He's about that
Right.
age probably. But so he got that, and then he really was like really interested how it works and everything. So we got like the free game that, you can play online. So he's been playing that a lot. And then I said, well, there's, this is all based off a old anime or whatever.
Which
so
is all
found
based
that
off of
on
Pokemon.
Netflix. Right. It's pretty much riding the coattails of that. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, over the last weekend, I think he watched pretty close to the entire thing. He just binged through that like nuts.
There was a lot of seasons of that.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't know how many seasons or what's all entailed in it, but the main first story, I think he's really gotten mostly through, and by just being around, I've watched a decent amount of it now too, and boy, it's rough.
Yeah, I never got into it. Have you told him that I got a like full theatrical movie too? Has he seen that yet?
No, I didn't know that either.
Oh yeah, there was one in theaters.
Jeez, I wonder what that's even like.
Oh no, I couldn't with Yu-Gi-Oh. It was just too. I don't like the art style that much for an anime, and then I just found the whole like. I mean, because by that point we'd already had Pokemon, we'd gotten Digimon, and it was like, do we need another one of these?
Well, what's crazy is like those other two are like action, right? Like they're actually things sending out and you're fighting, and it's like it seems like it's a plausible world, where this is just like it's kind of got the same type of anime drama, but it's like, all right, let's settle this on playing cards.
Yeah, that is the drawback, because they're literally playing cards. They're not like actually playing with monsters, so it doesn't translate. Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, watching kids throw cards through the air gets old after a while.
And the whole thing is just like, commenting on what's happening in the card game. And most of the time it's not, from what I can tell, like even there's differences between episodes. There's inconsistencies between different cards and what they do. It's like they're just making it up and just making it do whatever it wants. So it's like halfway in the middle where they're not staying true to the card game, but they're anchoring it down by a card game too. So it's...
Yeah, I think that one probably is a lesser quality show, just because like it is literally just a marketing tool, right? Like it's not...
Oh yeah.
It's not anything else. The card game was what they wanted to sell, and the show just happened to help them do it. So where I feel like, obviously there's product and money to be made with Digimon and Pokemon as well, but like I feel like they actually created a world with the Pokemon animated series and Digimon, and yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh just feels very flat in that regard. That was a Fox one too, right? Fox Kids, I think.
I think so. Maybe WB.
Oh, that could be.
It was.
Just remember it being on one of the
same
weird
block
networks.
as Pokemon. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it might have switched. I don't know.
So is he gonna?
Yeah,
is he gonna collect the cards now too, or is he just kind of more into the game? And
I don't know. I really haven't like shown him that there's like you can still go to the store and buy them. I kind of like tried to be like, well, that was a thing back then,
So there are still Yu-Gi-Oh packs. Like that game is still alive.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know if it's still alive. They still sell it. And I don't know who's playing it, but.
Right. Yeah. Interesting. Huh.
How have they not? How's it been like 20 years and that technology hasn't happened yet, where I can't lay down a card and there's an actual monster on something.
Needs to happen.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we were almost there with the hyperscan. It was very close.
True.
So.
Mm-hmm. There's probably some in VR that does something like that.
Wasn't there a iToy game for like the PS3 that was like card game? I forget what the fuck that was called. It flopped hard. I remember that. But yeah, you bought it in like a big freaking plastic package and it came with like a couple decks of cards and shit.
Oh. Yeah, the iToy could recognize the card, right? Yeah.
Right. Then it must have done some appropriate animation on screen. But yeah, I never saw it in action because, I don't know, just didn't seem like my cup of tea. It's interesting. Well, I just had one other thing to talk about, and that was just that continued working on my garage arcade since I've set it back up. So I think I've got it exactly where I want it now. I've got like new sets of lights on the backdrop, and I've got like a projector that shoots shit under the ceiling. Finished trimming out some areas of my garage. Used some more sheet metal that I had to cut, which I fucking hate doing that because I always end up bleeding. Sucks. I cut myself every time. And then like the lighting now is like perfect so that I have the main lights off and I have all the arcade lights, if you will, to make it feel like an arcade. It's just the right amount of ambient lighting. But then we realized that in doing that, you pretty much couldn't play ping pong because it was just too dark.
Oh, yeah.
So then I bought a black light and hung it above the ping pong table and then spray painted a couple sets of paddles and then a little bit on the table itself. So now it's like a sweet black light ping pong, which is super cool.
Wow.
So that's been fun, which is really trippy to play because got like a, just like a bell light for the black light. So once the ball passes out of the light and then the shadow moves to like the front side of the balls is coming towards you, like it does, how black lights are anyway, but it feels like that ping pong does like a weird time shift and just like leaps forward a foot. It's really weird.
Because it almost changes colors, right?
Yeah, it's so tough, but it's fun. We've been having a good time with it. Weirdly though, like the fluorescent paint I used, like must have only the green, because I did green and like a pink, but like whatever was in the green, it must have had like some extra ingredient that like dissolved some of the like lacquer that was gluing the rubber onto the ping pong paddles. So I came back the next day and had like all these weird bubbles underneath there. So I had like no choice but to like kind of peel that back and like re-glue it. But after the life of me, can't understand why the green did that, but the pink did not.
Yeah.
You'd think you would have the same reaction, but
yeah.
I don't know. But the end product is pretty neat. And we've been hanging out there a lot more. I've been, the weather's nice. I've been watching a lot more movies out there. It's been fun. I haven't played really hardly any games in the arcade, but they're there. They're on.
Mm-hmm.
About once a week, I'm just like, I want this to feel like an arcade. So then I watch TV out there and then turn on every machine and then turn up the attract sound just enough that like you can hear like, Galaga in the distance and the Turtles song, and it's good. It's very nostalgic.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Especially once you get like all the atmosphere stuff around it too. It really ties it all in.
Yeah, been playing some Skaball. Pretty fun. So yeah, you'll have to, I don't think you've seen it like in its
I haven't seen it in a long time.
Incarnation. So at some point you'll have to step over. It'll be fun.
Tonight I was looking at getting a projector screen and hanging it from the garage door. So like you can open the garage door and then drop the screen behind it.
Yeah.
And that's wide open.
That would be sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that idea.
I'm thinking about doing that.
Would you do games or movies?
Either or, I suppose. I mean,
yeah,
anything that can run through the projector, I suppose. But
yeah, that's a fun idea.
I like the idea of having it right behind the garage door because then you could do it on the inside if you wanted to on And then if you want to do it on the outside, you just open the garage door,
Yeah. I've seen people too just project on the backside of their garage door without the screen because, like, well, depending on the garage door you have, like, it's got the white backing, but granted, you're gonna have hinges and shit in the way. But yeah, that's cool. I mean, it's always fun to do like an outside movie. Just the novelty of it once or twice this season is good.
Yeah, and that garage door, it's one of those that like you can fit a RV into, so you could really put a big screen on there if you wanted to.
Nice. Do you have a projector already?
No.
They're so cheap now. You can get a good like 1080p or even higher for 150 or less. So I even really like the ones that Walmart sells where they've got the Roku built in now, and it's like $80. That's super convenient. All you need is a hotspot and you're good to go.
Yeah.
Technology.
Yeah,
I think you should save your money though and just buy the Apple goggle things instead.
For the
not
family.
Share that with everybody. No, don't share. No, that's for you. Treat yourself.
I'll sit outside by myself with my goggles on.
Well, look at this. Yeah. I watched somebody review those like 90s Sony, what are they called? Sony Glass or whatever. But basically Sony had the same thing where it was like RCA jacks to like hook up to goggles that just like projected mini LCD screens in your eyes, so you didn't have to set up a monitor. Like, who was that for? That is such a limited use case. I don't get it.
Yeah, well, that's half technology, just doing shit because you can.
Yeah, it's true. So it makes the world work.
Yeah.
Well, does he have anything else, or do you want to go on to staff picks?
I'm ready to go.
All right, let's do it. You can go first.
Yeah, the one game I actually have been playing.
Oh.
Is my staff pick. That's Satisfactory. And that's
the game is Satisfactory?
PC. Huh?
The game is called Satisfactory?
Yeah, it's called Satisfactory. And it's about building factories, pretty much. Stop if you've heard this before, that I play a game like this where you go out in an open world, you craft things, you take that and you figure out a way to craft those things into better crafting things, and then to unlock different things that you can craft. And then you try and craft those in a more efficient way. So that's pretty much this game.
So you're streamlining the production factory work.
Yep, it's drilling for iron and then just making conveyor belts going everywhere to turn that into other things automatically.
So it's like just the fun parts of Minecraft where you had like the redstone and the...
Yep.
You don't do a lot of like the survival elements. You just go right into the building shit.
Yep. There are enemies and stuff that kind of have some resource to them or something, but the main draw is the factory building.
Is this a newer game?
It's been in early access for years now. I don't know if it's actually out yet or not, but it's pretty complete at this point. I get into
first person.
I have had some. Yep. I've had some weird like geometry bugs other than that, but yeah,
just
other
looking
than
it
that,
up now just to see what the art style looks like. See if I've seen this.
it's just kind of that realistic.
Yeah. Interesting. So can you build any cool shit? Like, can you build like vehicles in your factory and stuff, or?
Yeah. So right now what I did is I built a vehicle, and you can make a truck station to 2 different spots, and then you can set a path to it. So it automatically goes to the different truck stations to pick things up and unload it in the other truck stations. And
interesting.
I think there's a monorail in there that you can build.
Monorail. I always think of The Simpsons.
Monorail. But yeah, it's totally my type of game. I'm all about that stuff. I've actually had it for a while, sitting there wanting to play it, but I was like, well, I usually get sucked into those things. So
survival crafting and button pushers, those are kind of your genres.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And farm simulators.
Yep.
Which you'd be proud of my daughter in Stardew Valley. So.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I think that.
Yeah.
So is basically there multiplayer on this?
I think so. Yeah. You can do servers and stuff like that.
Okay.
So you can definitely do that stuff. Yeah, it's just a treadmill game, pretty much.
Okay. Interesting. Well, my pick, I remind myself what I did. Carnival of Souls. I have been watching more of my classic horror movie, shitty DVD box set, old crappy black and white movies, and I watched this one on Sunday. I think it's from '62. It's a pretty cool movie, though. It's the whole premise is like car goes off the road with two people in it, and then like they're trying to find them. Well, it goes off a bridge, and then like miraculously, like 3 hours later, like the passenger comes out of the water, and then she goes on about her life, and you can kind of imagine the revelations that she has following that, and kind of where the movie goes. But it gets really kind of creepy and twisted, and there's like an abandoned carnival thing, and she's a church organist, but she's also doesn't have faith. So it's like a really weird thing where, I don't know, it's a weird juxtaposition, but yeah, pretty cool horror movie for that era. And the acting is really good. Except for there's a really pervy neighbor character that just really wants to bone the organist lady bad. And he's kind of a like overly disgusting D-bag, like in the way he approaches it. It's pretty off-putting.
Nobody's ever said that before. The guy who really wants to bone the organist lady.
Yeah.
Because I think everybody knows once you say organist lady, you have somebody in your head and you're like, that's not the person.
They're not under 60, that's for sure.
No. No. I have heard of this one. It's pretty well known for, being a really early kind of influential title, right?
I think it's got fan following. I had never seen it, so I do recommend it. It's pretty good.
Wonder if they've ever remade it. I'm sure they have at some point, but
I mean, that's all we do anymore.
Yeah.
Oh God, I'll just throw this in here. Did you see they're making a sequel to Spinal Tap?
Yeah. With the same people, right?
Yeah.
The original guys.
The same people. But I just like, holy shit, we got to stop doing this. Between that and Coming to America 2, like, we got to stop.
Oh, and The Naked Gun. Did you see that?
No, they're doing Naked Gun? Leslie Nielsen's dead.
Yep. They're doing Liam Neeson.
Oh my gosh. All right. Is it going to be a comedy?
I would think so. Yeah, I don't know.
Can Liam Neeson do comedy?
A great point. I don't know.
Huh.
That's probably the point of it, right? Like him to play straight but be in a dumb comedy.
Yeah, interesting.
But yeah, anyway, I have wanted to see this before because I have heard that it's like, oh, this is one that you got to see, and it was kind of pretty dark for its age.
I have a feeling that it's so old and nobody's probably got major publishing rights on it that this is probably just on Tubi or Roku or YouTube for free somewhere.
It's probably public domain at this point, even.
Yeah. So check it out if you're interested. It's not a long movie. My wife didn't like it as much as I did, but I thought it was pretty twisted and disturbing in most of the right ways, minus the next story.
If you're having a good time with us at Weekend Rental, I think you might enjoy all the great geeky stuff found on the Geekade Podcast Network. They've got podcasts about games, music, movies, and more.
Plus, if you order off their secret menu, also known as the Geekade Patreon, you just might find an exclusive movie podcast hosted by Ryan and myself. Check it out over at geekade.com. And hey, if you'd like to turn Weekend Rental into a true multimedia experience, our YouTube and Twitch channels might just be for you.
At that point, so the Weekend Rental, pick a game for a given system, we'll play it, give our thoughts on whether we personally buy, rent, or burn the title. I don't know why we keep going back to the N64 well, but we're here again because Blast Core got put on Switch Online, and I think all I've ever heard from everybody who likes the Nintendo 64 is how this is such a great, overlooked, rare game, rare published game, and yeah, we dove in. We streamed a bit of it on Twitch. It's just a sandbox game with vehicles that are all built for the purpose of destruction in one shape or form. And it feels very, I guess the premise is very arcade focused, right? Like one objective, time limit, different stage, move on, rinse and repeat. I don't know. You invested more time in it than I did. What were your kind of initial thoughts?
My initial thoughts were, I like the premise of it, that you're destroying, saving the world by destroying buildings. Get this bomb so it doesn't hit anything. I like the fact that you're bulldozing these buildings down, and then apparently there's survivors that come out and they're all happy to see you that you did that to your building.
Yeah.
I guess it's better than a bomb running into it, but nonetheless, this game definitely glorifies destruction quite a bit, which that part's fun. Gives you lots of tools to do that type of destruction, vehicles and such. But overall, yeah, I gotta say it feels like a prototype where they were just like, let's just make a map and put a whole bunch of stuff in it, and you can just wreck some stuff. And then, Rare, they're just like, well, let's put some collectibles in there and a couple secrets, and bam, it's a video game. That's pretty much what this is.
They're so like not rare collectibles even. Like it's not like a big shiny coin or something. It's just like a little speck on the ground. Like, I think that was the part that kind of got me. It was like you have a certain expectation from Rare and a certain art style, and this just feels like they didn't fully give it the Rare treatment. You know what I mean? Like the presentation's pretty wonky. The human models that like cut in like the TV things are like all terrifying. Like first Toy Story level of detail, where it's just like, yeah, I guess those are humans, but they look like the toys.
Pretty good voice for a cartridge, but
yeah, that's true. And some of the textures on some of those vehicles and like the reflections were pretty cool. But overall, it's a pretty ugly product from Rare. Nothing is, like you said, it feels like a concept, like a demo. But nothing feels polished or fully realized. And then like some of those levels, like the last one we played on the stream, the controls are just so bad and the timing is so tight. Like nobody wants to do the same mission 10 fucking times because they're half a second off. You know what I mean? That's just bad game design.
Yeah. I'll correct that a little bit in saying that I played on the Switch later, and the joystick isn't as sensitive on the Switch, so it controls a little bit better than what I was doing during the stream. So I think that would be easier at that point. So I think maybe that might not be as big of a issue that I had while I was playing on stream.
Not as much overcorrecting then. Yeah.
I do like the secrets in this game. There's a number of like secret cars that you can get, and there's secret ways to do it. Although, like we found on the stream, there's just some weird stuff where we found an Easter Island Moai statue, and I don't know
To
what
just
else
look
you're supposed
at,
to do
I
there.
guess.
I
Yeah.
guess, yeah. Maybe there's a way to do something with it. I don't know.
Didn't seem like it. Yeah, that was odd. And I do love how this game probably has the smallest and least textured on-person character that you play as in any N64 game. Like, it's essentially like you're controlling the sprite of Pitfall Harry in this game. It's awful.
Yeah. It's line. It literally looks like just lines. It's
Yeah.
not even like a 3D render or anything. It's just somehow animated lines.
I'd
off
almost
of
imagine like you had a shitty tube TV like that just didn't have a great picture anyway. Like, it would probably be like somewhat difficult to make that out in certain textures
Yeah.
because there's just no detail to it.
Yeah. At the same time, maybe it would be better because it would round it off enough to make it look like it's more of a
Sure.
shape.
Take off some of the
I don't know.
jaggy. I don't know. I can see why this game has a bit of a following, especially if you were a younger gamer and got this, because like this is like every 10-year-old boy's like dream, right? Is just hop in a bulldozer and like blow shit up. But it's so shallow in its premise because it's all you're really doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, there's the racing ones, but those aren't anything to be excited
No.
about either.
And they're kind of a RC Pro-Am style racing. Yeah, I didn't find any of the like challenges and the races and stuff like that to be all that interesting. It was mainly there was a bomb coming and destroy thing. That was like the ones that I actually enjoyed quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun to watch stuff go boom for a while, but then you're just like, well, I wonder, it's not like we finished the game, so I wonder how much content is actually in there, but I don't know.
Especially like once you clear the way and the bomb goes through and you're like, great job, you did it. And then you're like, okay, keep going. You missed some houses to go destroy. So you circle back and destroy the houses, and then, the people come on like, great job. You're just trying to impress me or whatever.
Yeah, that was her line, wasn't it? You're just trying to impress me. Yeah, I don't know how to feel about this. Like, I can kind of get it. It's a very video game, but at the same time, I feel like they should have spent a little more time with it. And I wonder if it wasn't just something where, the N64 had such huge gaps in like releases where maybe they were just, Nintendo's like, we just got to get something out the door. You know what I mean? And like Rare was on fire that console generation, so the game was coming out from Rare. People were probably going to take notice, but
well, it's wild that this got off the ground though. They're considering all the other games that they had been making where they're much more polished, much more like grand.
Yeah, because even the open world spaces aren't that large in comparison to like what Rare had done.
Right. And I mean, I'll take this game over Jet Force Gemini any day of the week, but Jet Force Gemini is like way more ambitious and better looking, and a whole bunch of stuff going in that game, where this is just it really is just putting collectibles and secrets on top of kind of a sandbox,
Generic
map. Playground.
Yeah, and it's interesting, the comparison you make with Jet Force Gemini is like the only thing that really kept that game back was its awful control scheme, where I think the base game was there, but this is just like there's nothing. I don't think there's much more they could have done with it in terms of like the core game design, other than just make it a better polished product with more varied missions.
Right.
Because
Well,
it
yeah,
controls well. You know, the perspective is neat. The fact that you can get out of vehicles is cool as hell. It's all kind of there, but yeah, it's just missing that last like 20% that Rare usually puts into something.
it feels like an older game,
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
yeah. You know what it honestly reminds me a lot of, and I know it's kind of a big leap, but like it feels like a Rampage game to me. Like
Oh, yeah.
you know, it's kind of that same gratification loop of like just smash shit, go for high points, and I mean vehicles versus monsters, but
Yeah.
almost the same.
Kind of got that Paperboy of,
Yeah, I could see
Paperboy
Midway
style
putting
of,
that out.
yeah. This does seem like a Midway type of game for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like when they started to get into like, let's make the home version of this,
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah. You're right.
It's cool though that it's on the Switch online now because it makes it. This is a game I probably never would have checked out otherwise. I don't know that I'm gonna go back.
It is pretty crazy though that it is a Rare game. That's the part that just blows my mind, that it just does not seem like.
Yeah. So do you know where this one fell? Was it?
Had to be early, right? I would hope
Yeah,
so.
probably. I'm gonna look when that released.
I mean, Conquer was pretty much the last thing
Their
on
last,
the system.
yeah.
I'm gonna say 97 or 98.
Oh yeah, you're right. 97. So March 21st, 97. So yeah, that was very early.
Yeah,
on the 64.
so that
Guess it
makes
came
sense.
out-
It's more of a we're making a 3D game type thing, and we're just playing around.
Here's what's interesting. They released that game first in Japan, only by like 3 days, but
Huh.
and then it came to America 3 days later and didn't get to Europe and Australia for like another 5 months. Interesting.
I wonder if they called the second level in this game J-Bomb over in Japan.
Yeah, that's the thing is like Cooter Canyon, like there's a lot of questionable names of locations and things in this game that I like how I'm curious on this because Wikipedia has a hot link for the plot. I'm curious as to what the plot is according to Wikipedia for this.
Yeah, please do.
Oh. So apparently it takes place on a parallel Earth in which mankind lives in relative peace, which explains why you're blowing the fuck out of it with bombs everywhere. Until an event occurs and it threatens the whole planet. So the national government of an unnamed country discovers that the transportation of 2 defective nuclear missiles has gone wrong and begins leaking radiation. Ow. There's like so much more, but I didn't get that out of any of the stuff we played. So
No, there's a bomb on the
Interesting.
truck and you got to clear the way. That's the story of the game.
right. Interesting. I don't know. What do you think you'd give this thing on the Byron Burn scale?
I had fun. I felt refreshed that this isn't a game where it was like, okay, here's story, here's a tutorial, here's all this stuff. It's very straightforward and you're getting to the point real quick, and it's, things that they want you to do are optional, and the things that are there are optional sometimes, but I can't give it a buy. It's just not quite fleshed out enough to really say, okay, this is a masterpiece on the 64, like I have heard people say before.
Well, and this
I
is probably
guess-
like a $70 game back in the day too, right?
Yeah, right. I can see it being overlooked and, maybe in the hidden gem area of some sort, because it is a game that is at that point in gaming, there wasn't a lot of that type of game anymore. They really tried to get into more story-based,
Yeah.
heavier style of game. the simpler stuff like this just didn't exist. So that part, I don't know. It's kind of refreshing now, but if that would have been the thing I got on a 64, expecting, hopping in Mario 64 and then going to this, I don't know if I would have been as excited about it. So
yeah, it's a big gap.
Yeah. But I think I'll give it a rent because, I think it's definitely worth playing for a little while. It's enjoyable for what it is.
Yeah, I think I'm right with you. I mean, it's almost like the definition of a rental, right? Like it's just a video game. You just jump in, have some fun, blow some stuff up. It's not going to keep your attention for long periods of time, but you pop this in hour installments. It's really cool. I think what would have been awesome is if they'd included like some multiplayer elements. I think that would have been cool to have a couple people in the sandbox crushing stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But,
just gonna look up how long it would take to beat, because I can't imagine this is a very long game.
I'm guessing like 5 hours.
Wow, somehow they say 8 hours, which is surprising
Really?
to me, because I felt like we got through like half of it on stream.
Yeah, it did seem like that. Yeah, that's a tough sell for a buy then. I mean, I think rent is the right way to go.
Yep.
I did have more fun with this than I probably would have with most N64 games. So my bias aside, it's a good dumb game. Coach. And I guess that's another Byron Burn in the books, huh?
Yeah, and with that, another episode. So, hey, if you would like to watch us play some of these weekend rentals, I think we're going to start doing that over on Twitch. We have already with Blastcore. Twitch.tv/weekend rental. Check us out over there. Archives might go up on YouTube. We haven't figured that out yet, but
yes,
we'll see.
See what happens.
Yeah. So we'd love to have you check those out. Of course, you can contact us at weekendrentalpodcast@gmail.com. We're on Twitter. And until next time, be kind, rewind.